Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ball Knowers Sports and More podcast. I'm joined by, as always, by my wonderful co-host David Miller, looking mighty beautiful today,
Thank you,
and
Andrew.
our special guest, SEAL Team 6, aka Celia. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me, you guys. I really appreciate it.
Of
Of
course.
course.
I'm just elated to be here. Thanks for finding me on the craziness that is TikTok and David consistently defending me on my
Yeah,
outspoken NFL TikToks.
I mean, somebody's got to fight the 14-year-olds that don't exist. So I guess it might as well
I,
be me.
it's funny, it's my TikTok account is also connected to my Instagram, and as some of them found their way to
Oh
my
no.
Instagram DMs. And it's funny because I was looking at the people that were, talking smack to me and saying not very clever insults. And it was kids. It was like 12, 13-year olds. I'm like, go outside, touch some grass. I mean, it was just bizarre. And I know that the things that they talk about on my TikToks, as we are here now, just talking about women in the NFL, and there's clearly some sensitive topics on that.
Yeah.
And I know that, David, you had found me and in one of my TikToks just talking about domestic violence with NFL players in the league and how that corresponds to women, and me, of course, being a huge Steeler fan. But obviously one that is tolerable, I hope.
One of the few, one of the very, very few.
That has a morality complex that can actually look into the Steelers. And I've never been a huge fan of Ben Roethlisberger at all. But, do you really think if I called up Mike Tomlin, last year before, past decade, he would say, Celia, you're so right. We should probably believe these women first and kick Ben Roethlisberger off. You know what? I totally got you. I mean, that was never going to
Hmm.
happen. And so it's hard as somebody who grew up with football, and how my mom and my sister really, or my mom's sister, really indoctrinated me into the culture. I mean, it is a culture. It's obviously the Steeler franchise, but then the NFL as itself is the league, and how I learned, and it was every Sunday, and it was very religious, and to love a sport so much, it's I don't want to watch that, even though as a woman I probably should. It's not. I mean, I don't know. I've never really felt respected totally being a NFL fan in the league. I mean, obviously, if you want to be a woman of football, you got to have some pretty thick skin. So those 11-year-olds in my DMs aren't really gonna mess up my sleeping schedule at night.
Oh lordy. Yeah, the children on TikTok are a different breed. Terrible. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the video I made where Watson admitted that one of his accusers cried at the end of one of their
Yeah,
sessions.
yeah.
And the amount of insults, like I know you've experienced it, but the amount of insults I got towards me and my character was hysterical. Like I can't even remember some of the stuff. Like I got called a simp. Like that was the big one. I was a simp. I
Yeah.
got told I get no bitches a couple times, so I'm trying to suck
Oh,
up. Like
yeah.
just absolutely atrocious shit just for being like, hey, why else would a woman be crying at the end of a mistake? Like, what
Right.
other feasible good reason would she have?
I mean, it's a bigger picture of, you have this guy, there's 22 accusations. And I think one of the comments we got, well, innocent until proven guilty, innocent until proven guilty. But
Mm-hmm.
the legal
Mm-hmm.
system has never been right and just for victims of. And I would argue that I don't think that we should not listen to those women's voices. It needs to be investigated. And I did read that HBO is doing a special, I believe, with these victims of Deshaun
Really
Watson. Yeah, they're going to come forward.
Good,
good.
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 Yeah. And they're going to talk about it, and it's going to make people angry and upset. But Deshaun Watson's getting one of the biggest payouts this year, and it's
Mm-hmm.
unacceptable. Think about the women that work in the Cleveland Browns facilities, the ones that maybe don't feel comfortable. And as I know I've said before, Deshaun Watson's not the only abuser on the Cleveland Browns. Who I think it's Kareem Hunt, right?
Yeah,
Still,
Kareem
on the
Hunt.
Browns. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you want to get into it, but I think it was video evidence, right?
Yeah, it was completely on video.
There's a video
He kicked the
kicking
shit out of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he was suspended for a little, but his paychecks are still getting signed by the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Which, with that, I just want to say props to the Kansas City Chiefs, because once all that came out, they parted ways with him like immediately.
Yes. Oh,
which
great,
was like the best thing they could have done. But then, Cleveland had to go and fuck it up.
Well,
like he could have. Yeah, I mean, it's Cleveland tradition to go and fuck things
Cleveland,
up.
But I'm introspective enough, as a Steelers fan, to say the Steelers have fallen short too. So it's not just the Browns, but it's hard. It's really hard, and there are so many male abusers in the NFL, and it's hard because where do you place the blame, right? Do you place it on the individual doing the action, so the NFL player themselves? Do you put it on the team, the coach of that team, or do you put it on all the way at the top, Roger Goodell? And in my thinking, I feel like it should be all three. There needs to be people who speak out and take command of the situation. So, I mean, even in the Chiefs example, they got rid of him. That's great. That's a great step. The Chiefs took that first initiative, but he's still in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And Roger Goodell was whatever. And I did read that Deshaun Watson met with the NFL this week, and I don't know the outcome of that, if you've heard, but
they said oh, sorry.
No,
go ahead. I was going to say we probably won't know what's happening until, I believe, June or July. So I do think he will get suspended, but I don't think it's going to be near enough. I think he's going to get like 3 games, and it'll be a slap in the face to anyone who actually gives a shit.
I love watching it. I know you all love watching football. I know we're friends now. We've talked about it, but it's so hard to watch these games on Sundays, and sometimes it's like I just can't get around it. There's a video of somebody hurting somebody or somebody kicking somebody, and with the amount of women that are abused every year, it's hard. It's painful. I hated having Ben Roethlisberger as a quarterback. And to whoever the guy on my TikTok that said that he discredited me because I was a Steeler fan and probably supported Ben, I don't. I don't. I never have. And it's unfair to not think that we can't see the true teams. And I also want to pull this out as well, as since 2000, 134 players have been arrested for domestic violence and 15 for crimes related to sexual assault, battery, or solicitation. This is comprising 13% of all NFL arrests, and this is according to the database by USA Today. And that is so high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I hate? I hate that my first instinct upon hearing that was only 13. I thought that number would be way higher.
Only 13%.
I thought it.
Of
No.
Arrests.
How many was it that were for for, you said, stuff related to sexual assault and sexual abuse?
Yeah, so 134 players have been arrested for domestic violence and 15 for crimes.
Oh, 15. 15. Yeah, my bad.
Battery or solicitation
would be a lot higher, which, I mean, that speaks volumes, I think. It's absolutely disgusting that. Oh, I don't know. I just don't feel right doing that.
But
I don't even have words. It's just disgusting. Yeah.
They'll play, right? And if they're profitable to the league, if they're profitable to their franchise and they make a lot of money, then we're just going to keep them. We're just going to keep them around. It's going to be great. No problems. But as the league who profits off women, who markets towards them, I mean, I remember growing up, all of the pink jerseys for breast cancer awareness and making it a big deal. And, women come to games, and I know Roger Goodell said that about half of NFL fan nouns are women, and they're trying to market towards them. So then why don't you care when we're getting beaten up by your favorite players?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And there's, it's almost like when you're so many names you could talk about. Like Tyreek Hill pled guilty for choking and punching his pregnant girlfriend, but he still plays in the league.
Didn't Tyreek Hill also hit one of his kids? Or am I thinking of someone else? Like, I'm pretty sure Tyreek Hill's a repeat abuser as well.
Yeah.
Which,
and we can
he's
also
awful.
get into
He's awful.
Antonio Brown. I mean, do I even want to? Antonio Brown was on the Steelers. He was a handful. I don't know how Mike Tomlin even tried to reel him in. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's just so dead to me. And what do you even say? He's throwing furniture off the balcony, going against his wife, girlfriend at the time. I don't even know. And then his tweet for saying he wants to retire a Steeler.
I saw that. I saw your reaction to that too.
Yeah, I clearly didn't have a great one. I'm so sick of that man. I'm so sick of that man.
Yeah,
It's
Antonio
just-
Brown, he's a whole other thing. I don't know. I
Oh,
personally
yeah.
think he's sick. I don't want to change this.
No,
but like,
I mean,
I think he's sick personally.
I think so too. He had what was the really big hit? Who hit him?
Was it Vontaze Burfict?
I think
or
it
no?
was Vontaze. Or no.
No, Burfict. We did this the last time we tried to record this. Burfict hit Juju, and then
Yes,
I think
yes, he
AB hit him back.
No, it was
The other way
Juju got
around?
him back, yeah. Juju got him
Okay,
back.
okay. So you, see, the last time we tried to record this, we did the same
We'll
exact
never know.
thing, and Andrew was the only one that remembered. So AB got popped by Burfict, and then Juju got Burfict back. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But even then, I mean, you can't even diagnose CTE until that individual's passed away. So
No.
we won't know for sure. But that's even a whole other side comment is, does the NFL even care about their players' brains?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It all comes down to the NFL only care. Like, I've said multiple times, I want the NFL, even if they won't throw him out, I want the owners to blackball Deshaun Watson, which isn't going to happen. I mean, he just got a $230 million contract. It's not going to happen. But my source for that, or like my reference point for that, was Ray Rice, who we all know knocked out his fiance in an elevator and all that shit. And he actually did get blackballed by the NFL. The Ravens cut him, and he never signed with another team. But that was when I was young, so I didn't remember Ray Rice at that point. And I was talking to my dad about it the other day. And he pointed out to me that Ray Rice at that point was washed up. Like, he was not a good football player. So if he had still been prime Ray Rice, he probably still would have gotten another contract. Somebody would have went and gotten him. He only got blackballed, so to speak, at that point. He was done. He was washed up. Nothing left in the tank. Yeah. It sucks.
So that's the... So once you suck and anything to the NFL, they'll kick you out.
Yeah. Like they just did with Ben. Or would have done with Ben.
Yeah. I think... Go.
I was gonna say, wasn't his contract up this year, upcoming year? I can't remember if he retired when his contract ended or not. Yeah,
he was going to be out last year because he was going to leave with Marquise Pouncey, and then he stayed one more year. But he was clearly on.
Okay. Right. Yeah. No, Ben was done. He was done.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay, the good thing is
that we have.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Can you repeat yourself? It just like glitched really bad, and we have no idea what you just said.
Oh yeah. So let's just put it out there. Ben Roethlisberger sucked, and the Steelers did not have any other options. Mason Rudolph was not the answer. He will never be the answer. Is he still even on the Steelers at this point?
Yeah.
I know we have Kenny Pickett. He's still there. I mean, I haven't heard that he left, but
it's Rudolph, Pickett, and Trubisky. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love Mitch Trubisky. Oh, did you see his wife had their baby?
Yeah, they did have their baby. Future Chicago Bears MVP Hudson, I think. I think that was his name, Hudson Trubisky.
Born in Pittsburgh, doesn't that make him a Yinzer?
I don't care if he's good. He's gonna be better than his dad ever was, and come play for the Bears, and it'll be great.
Well, that would be really cute to have a full circle moment. So maybe we'll allow it.
I'm a sucker for that stuff with football. When kids come into the league, like sons of former players, I love that. That's always fun.
Sure, and even family members too. I
mean,
the Steelers have, I think, like 2 sets of brothers. No.
Yeah, the Watts, fullback Derek Watt, love that guy. Hayward's, they just drafted Connor Hayward, another fullback.
Yeah. But I mean, the Steelers, to kind of get back on what we were saying, have always had their own issues, and I know that we've also discussed before is the improvement of the Rooney Rule. And this is a monumental rule in football, and it really changed the path for African Americans that want to be in the league and want to coach. But now that we know that it's changed a little, but the wording I'm a little upset about, because I think it was like women or minority.
Yeah.
In a dream world, I'd love that to be both. Women minority would be great to fill those roles. But then again, it's hard for women to kind of even get into this position, because you always see us as these sideline reporters, and there's absolutely no hate to that. That's a great job. We need women on the sidelines, but I'd like if they would sit at the table. You know, they would be, I know, Stephen A. Smith, you know, Booger McFarland. What about those people? Why can't a woman sit in that chair? Why can't, but calling the game, during the game, I'm not talking about like Samantha Ponder on the weekends, and great for her. I'm happy to seat at that table, but we need more of that. I mean, women are record numbers, and we deserve to be able to be there, but it's how do you get women to be in those positions? They need to be taught. Somebody needs to help them guide the way. And honestly, the answer to that is you need men. You need men that believe in the women, that will take them and take them under their wing through how to coach through the program, how to be an offensive coordinator, how to be a defensive coordinator. I don't know how to manage the team, how to be a head coach. You have to learn it somewhere. I mean, a lot of these things you can't go to school for. I mean, you can learn the basics, you can learn all the plays, but then how are you going to learn? How are you really going to learn if you don't have that field experience and they don't bring you up with them? You just never will. There won't be a seat for you. And I was out this past weekend, and I was watching the Celtics, and they had all men that were calling the game. And I was like, I really want a woman to be there. I was like, when do I ever think a woman's going to be there? And the guy next to me, who I guess overheard what I was saying, was just like, well, women, it just takes a lot of time to learn the game. And I just don't know if they put time and effort into watch the game and be able to comment on it. And I was like, that's a really weird comment. I was like, you don't think that a woman would be able to call this game? It's like, well, you know, they don't have all the time experience. They have to watch a lot of games. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I bet I could call an NFL game. I bet I could do it. And I bet I could call the players, and I bet I would do a pretty decent job. He's like, yeah, but women are always sideline reporters. Like, it's just not a position for them to be in. And I don't think that this guy's comment was meant to come off as misogynist. I really don't think that he ever considered having a woman in that position, because he's never seen it. It's never been there. And you've never had an accomplished woman sit and call a game. I know we've had a woman referee, and the kind of awful remarks she gets on a daily basis is hard enough, but the only way that we're going to break the colloquial comment, quote unquote, glass ceiling is if we just push. You just get women in these positions. And I really hope that this new updated Rooney Rule makes a difference. It definitely did for a lot of people in the league. And I just really hope we can start doing it towards women of all backgrounds, all ages, all races, anybody who loves this sport. If football is truly that inclusive sport and they want to market it worldwide, which I know the NFL is trying to do, then don't excommunicate 51% of the population who really want to be involved. There needs to be a coaching program, a training program. I mean, we need to have more women referees. I also want to point out that Maya Shaka is the first Black woman that worked as an NFL referee this past season. We need more women. And I feel like I'm just preaching to the choir. And if I put this, I ain't gonna like it, but it's honestly exhausting. And I feel like every time preach about it, I go on TikTok, on social media, I make a thread about Ben Roethlisberger's accusations, or I talk about the newest player that has hurt a woman that's still going to play next Sunday. It's just, it feels like it falls on deaf ears, and nobody is taking me seriously. And I almost feel like I am screaming into the void. Like, please listen to me. Like, you take so much of my money. You have so much of my things. I religiously watch you. If I don't get your game in this area, I illegally stream it. I'm not going to give the website because I don't want other people to find out about it. So I get my games in it. I'm just so exhausted.
Yeah, It's awful. It's absolutely exhausting. I will say the NFL. I forget the name of it. I got to pull up the name of it. Something, talking about the fact that the NFL needs to give women more opportunities and people need to give women more opportunities to get into the front office or onto a coaching staff or whatever. There's a it's called it's the NFL's first ever coach and front office accelerator, which I believe is actually this week in Atlanta. And it's for women and minority coaching candidates, front office candidates, whoever, to meet with NFL and GMs and talk to them, make impressions
I
on
love
them, learn
this.
about them. Yeah, the
Perfect.
Bears sent the Bears, I have a tweet right here. The Bears sent their GM and defensive coordinator to it, and a bunch of
Oh,
other
that's
teams for
great.
sending GMs, coordinators, head coaches, everybody. Every team sent people to it, and they're going to meet with women and, like I said, hopefully give them insight, listen to them, maybe even hire them on the spot. Who knows? Plenty of
Hopefully, hire
opportunities.
them all.
It's definitely possible.
But I hope, though, that when they do hire somebody in that position, they stand by her and they give her the chance to make it right, because you can't just have one person. So you have some woman, the offensive coordinator position, and one season goes by, the team doesn't do that well, and then they just canner. You need to be able to grow in a position, and there are so many head coaches that are male that have had to take a few seasons that have then become successful later. And so I hope that if a team is going to step up and do the right thing in this position, then they need to have that individual's back. They need to have that woman's back and let her shine and make those decisions, because it's scary being in a room full of men trying to speak your mind and people just telling you you're wrong, this is not the right decision, and honestly just letting you lead to be the leader that you're supposed to be. And that's a hard thing to do. I really hope that at this conference it becomes successful. I think the best way to be successful in a team organization, whether it's the NFL, your workplace, whatever, is to have diversity of thought, is to have all kinds of different people. And if you want to be successful, you want to go to the Super Bowl, you want to make millions, the best way to do that is to have the smartest people around you. And there are a lot of smart NFL women. Like I promise, my mother could do this, my aunt could do this. There are so many women that just are absolutely obsessed with the sport, and not just related to me, but I know this can be something big. And I really hope in my lifetime there's a woman head coach for the Bears.
Yeah.
Or even if it's Ravens. I should say that. I should say Ravens.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to point something out, I was scrolling through Twitter because I knew there was a woman that actually went to the conference to represent one of the teams, and I couldn't find her. I finally found her. Her name is Kelly Klein, and she works for the Denver Broncos, and she's one of their operations. So she's like high up, like well respected, has been there for a couple years. Woman's a complete badass. She's like a mother of three. She's like amazing. She's fantastic, and she was one of the people that got sent to it. But I have high hopes for this. I really do. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I have. We're good. We'll keep going. I do legitimately have high hopes for this conference. The fact that the NFL went their way to set it up, that's a big step. It's not enough, obviously, but it's a big step in the right direction.
I gotta be honest. I don't know if I trust Roger Goodell, and I don't trust his. I just don't. I don't have a good enough track record to feel like that he's going to make a difference in this regard, because I think the punishments are, when a man does something that's bad, they're never equal. They're never equal punishments. I know we talked about this before. You'll have a game suspension, but then you had like Calvin Ridley, who did the sports betting, and he's out for a year with no income. It's like, how do you justify that? So you can't bet on the game, you're out. Like, that is done. No worries. But you put your hands on a woman, there's a video of it, we'll suspend you for 2 games and you can get back on the field.
Right. Yeah. Well, the good thing about this is it isn't really in Rodgers' hands. But it's in the hands of all the NFL teams. They're given the opportunity to meet with these women and find out what they know, if they have the traits that they're looking for whatever position. And not just women, obviously. There's minorities there as well, minority candidates. So there's plenty of opportunity, and thankfully it's not in Rodgers' hands, because I agree, I don't trust him either. I do not trust Roger Goodell one bit. I do not think he would do anything with anyone's interests in mind other than his own. I think he's one of the most selfish men there is. So luckily it's not up to him.
I do too. I know you guys are not drama websites, but there was an alleged rumor that he cheated on his wife while looking for a new NFL stadium.
Goodness.
That's alleged, by the way, so don't sue me, world. And it's slimy to me, and I just can't imagine he would ever treat me with respect. And then also, there was a New York Times article that even came out that was talking about how the women who worked at the NFL front office didn't feel safe there. They were actually sexually harassed, and when they brought up those complaints to management, they fell on deaf ears. And there was this also in that same NFL New York Times article, it talked about how the male colleagues would watch repeatedly the videos of the beating other women repeatedly, and then the women who had worked in the office were just like, can you please not play this? And it's like, oh, and then there was one part where the article talked about, if you've been a victim of domestic violence, could you raise your hand? So essentially, like, outing all of the women that have been there, like having to share their trauma. That's so messed up.
That's
what does that sound like to you guys? Do you think it's just an instance where it's just men who maybe aren't as well educated, or maybe just don't know any better, or do you think it's men who maybe just really don't see women's voices in the workplace be heard as high as men's?
I think it's a respect thing. Like, it's a learned behavior. Like, just they've just been led to believe that it's a man's sport or it's a man's job, and a woman can't tell me what to do when I'm doing my job because it's a man's job. It's just, and it's like a generational thing as well, where like these people have been taught that by whoever, so it's a hard fix as well. But it's like it's a learned behavior for sure.
Yeah, and most of the men that are in these front offices are older dudes. You know, it's not like young guys. We're talking about 50, 60-year-old men that, you know, were watching football for a nickel, and, you know, that, like, that generation. And they simply don't respect. Raised in a generation where women were second class, and women could only have certain jobs if they were even allowed to work, and like things like that. And I do agree with Andrew. I do think it's a learned behavior situation. And then some of it as well is just guys being fucking ignorant. People are assholes. That's a definite thing. Men are going to be fucking ignorant. And unfortunately, I don't want to say it's just part of it, but as of right now, it's just, and it sucks, but
is when I'm talking to other men about football is I'll have to overcompensate for my own knowledge. So I will really have to kind of get into the specifics of the game, who I know, who the players are, difference between like a 4-3 to 3-4 defense, you know, I don't know, all kinds of different things. You know, who's the quarterback of the team, and I get really nervous about it because in my head, you know, I'm like, I know my stuff. I know what's coming next. I could tell you this. Or this certain play or whatever. And when I feel like I'm getting drilled on it, it's, do I actually know this? And I'm just second guessing. An example of this, the difference between, somebody had asked me who the quarterback for the Kansas Chiefs, because
Oh no.
oh no.
Delaware. Of the but in nervous, I messed up and said a singer. I was at Austin Mahomes.
Yeah, I get that. I feel that. I've not, like, obviously to the same extent, but I've been in situations where I've feel like I've been pretty well educated for the majority of my life. So I've been in situations where I was young and I would have, family members and stuff. I'd be talking to them and I'd say something. I'd get a look like, there you go, sport. Like, you're getting it, like that kind of thing, like didn't get taken seriously. And that's something that's always bothered me. Obviously, it's not the exact same thing. It's much worse when you're a grown human and you know things and other adults won't respect you. But I somewhat know the feeling, and it fucking sucks. I get that. And it's unfair. It's fair that you have to be like that. Meanwhile, Andrew, I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit. You know more about football than Andrew. And Andrew would be taken more seriously than you by most men, which just isn't fair at all.
Call.
That checks
It's
out,
not.
yeah.
Andrew, I'm sorry to throw you under the bus like that, but
No, it's the
true.
truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
I mean, wait,
Oh,
what?
no. Okay. No, nothing. It was glitching on my screen for a second. It was a me thing. We're good.
Yeah, I had a okay. I'll as well.
Okay.
Edit it in post production.
Good. Yeah. We're on a new recording software, so I can do that now. Yeah.
Hollywood over here. So it takes the pressure. So why have you hated the Pittsburgh Steelers for so long?
Okay.
Hashtag David.
So Andrew and I are from Western Maryland, like very, very Western Maryland. And for some reason, everyone in this area is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And I have found that they're all intolerable. Like they're just awful. And I don't know if it's just this part of like Steelers fans, just this little like tiny pocket that we live in, but they're terrible. They are god awful. I've grown up for years listening to them talk their shit and not know what they're doing and not understand anything. And, obviously as a Bears fan, my team hasn't quite been as good as theirs. So I get all sorts of shit from Steelers fans. So it's just a really bad experience and almost like PTSD. Whenever I see someone that's a Steelers fan, it's just like I immediately develop some sort of disdain for them. But ironically, since I've met more Steelers fans that are like actually from Pittsburgh or not from this area, they've been a lot better. They're still not great. There's a few exceptions to that, obviously,
Hey,
but they're better.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I meant. But I don't know. It's just a mess. And then I also had it ingrained in my brain from my dad because my dad had this experience growing up and dealt with it for longer, so his was even worse. Like I'm starting to approach where he was when I started to get into football, that level of hatred. So it was a couple different factors, but just mainly where we live and the Steelers fans in this area.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because I've never thought about the Chicago Bears at all. Very intense hate.
Yeah. It's just part of being from a place that your team isn't from. I've never been to Chicago. I have never once been to Chicago, but this team is like 95% of my personality. Yeah, I've never been to Chicago.
But you're a Chicago Bears fan. That's a little much.
Well, okay. So my dad grew up a Bears fan.
Not that bad though. Gotcha.
Yeah, my dad grew up a Bears fan.
People are trans.
Yeah. My dad grew up a Bears fan because he that lived in Chicago that would like take him to games and stuff and bring him stuff. So I got like the second hand of that. I've just never actually been to the city.
Mm-hmm.
But I would die for this team.
You gotta go.
I do. I really need to go. I do desperately. I desperately need to go.
I mean, I really like you had a cute little team, but
I don't know if that's a very good compliment for a football team.
That sounded kind of backhanded. I'm not gonna lie.
You have a cute little team over there in Chicago.
Y'all got a cute little team going on over there.
But it was all and
I sure hope it was.
it was all positive. It's just it's the little brother you don't take seriously, you know.
So what are we, the Browns?
Wow.
No, I hate the Browns.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean,
Yeah.
I really hope that you'll be able to get to the stadium one day and just see how wonderful it is. And the feeling of being in Heinz Field was just so wonderful for me. So I hope that you get to do that too. And it changes your experience as a fan because you're just like, wow, I really love this. And you feel like you're at home.
Yeah. I'll get there eventually. It's just a matter of time and money. That's the big part.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Shit's expensive.
Yeah.
It took me 16 years to go to any NFL game, and it was in fucking Washington. Bears won though. It was a great game. Loved every second of it. But
with Washington, weren't
Mitch
they
did
like
go off.
Washington
So
overcharging their fans?
what happened with Washington was they were lying about how much money they were making. I don't know if they were overcharging or not. Maybe they were.
Gotcha.
But they were allegedly lying to the NFL about how much money they make off of tickets. Big portion of that back to the league, which then they distribute to all the other teams to make sure nobody like goes underneath and like physically can't support themselves. So it took that, not the, blackmailing cheerleaders and forcing cheerleaders to take topless photos and recording that gross shit. It took lying to the NFL about money to get Dan Snyder investigated, which they are apparently voting to have him thrown out of the league this week, or like within, soon. But it kind of sucks because the woman who was representing all the cheerleaders is like really close to having a full-on case against Snyder. So it's not going to be that gets him kicked out. It's going to be the money, but he'll still pay for the cheerleader thing.
Good.
Dude's a sicko. He's straight up sick.
Yeah. Oh no.
I know. At least I know it's not an application thing. It's just the internet. It's a bad connection thing. That's the good thing.
Yeah. There it goes.
And
oh
no.
Oh no.
I'm so confused right now. Like, you're fine, Andrew. I can hear and see you perfectly fine, but she is gone.
I think it's just a distance thing.
Probably. Yeah. Can you hear her at all?
I can't. She just keeps glitching in and out. She hasn't moved for like 3 minutes for me.
She hasn't moved for me either. Like I said, at least we can edit this out. That's the important thing here.
Good. We're moving up.
And it would have done the same thing on Discord, so it's not like we're at fault with using a new recording thing or anything. Yeah. And actually, I think this platform records her stuff on her computer, so maybe it won't be as bad. Maybe it's just bad for us. Maybe she's giving some like very insightful knowledge and we're talking over
a whole monologue. She's just like, was talking over.
No. I'm gonna message her on TikTok.
And she logged out.
Well, that's not good.
Oh God.
Of course. It's okay. We'll get it. We'll figure it out. It's okay. Oh my. She can hear us, but we can't hear her.
Oh.
Oh no. At least it's a connection thing. Because that's what it's saying for you, right? That it's a connection thing. Like when her screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
So
gonna
I
go
did.
fill up my water
Okay, you do that.
because I'm all out.
Oh no. Oh no.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Am I crazy?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good now. We're good now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
What was that?
For us, it said that there were Wi-Fi connections. So I guess because you're all the way up in Boston and we're down here, maybe there was a weird connection issue. I don't know. It shouldn't do that, but I don't know. Something going on with Wi-Fi.
I heard you the whole time, by the way.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth. Watch your
Ooh.
mouth.
Did we say anything negative?
No.
Okay, I didn't think we did. Sometimes I just say shit. So I thought maybe I said something really fucking dumb and I was about to get chewed out for it, but we're good.
At least you're
Okay.
nice men. Sometimes I would just get like railed about not knowing. Who knows?
You disappear and we just start talking trash.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even. That I won't promote you all on my TikTok with my 500 followers.
No.
I care so much. I look at a podcast and I talk about women's rights in football. They're all going to tell me to like off myself.
See, what you need to do is you lie. You just say I talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then you trick them into hearing about the women's rights.
Ah,
Yeah.
Yes.
that's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's the next thing I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I
Just-
want to.
just- you
No,
just
I
gotta
want
rope
to
'em
do
in.
that. I got
Yeah.
you. I want to post more about NFL stuff, but the problem is we're kind of in a lull. Training camps are coming up, but it's May. You know, it's not really start kicking it until August, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're in the dead period, unfortunately. Like I don't know if you've been paying attention to what I've been doing, but I've completely been bullshitting myself over the past couple weeks.
But
Like
you have
anytime
to,
anything
like,
happens with a
comment
fullback,
on your
that's been my
stuff.
go-to.
Oh yeah, tell me about this
Yeah,
fullback
I do.
thing. What's this
What
fullback
about
thing
it?
about?
Oh,
You're like make fullbacks the best thing, the greatest thing, or whatever. What's going on with that? Why is that position so important to you?
So that's my dad was a fullback growing up, and because Andrew, you good, bud?
I'm just thirsty, man. Keep going.
No, so my dad was a fullback growing up, and because of that, I started liking fullbacks when I was little because I was like, my dad used to do that. And it just continued to fascinate me because it's a really versatile position that does a lot of different things and can be very integral to some offenses. Like we see the 49ers, the Ravens, the Raiders last year, and now the Dolphins got Alec Ingold from the Raiders, guys like that. It can be super integral, and it's kind of starting to die off in the NFL, and I hate it. It hurts my heart. Like the Bears signed a fullback this offseason, and it's the first time they've had one since 2018. Like that legitimately hurts my heart. I hate it. It's such like a classic, like historical part of football, like Jim Brown, Larry Zonka, Mike Allstott more recently. So many big time names were fullbacks. And they're so fun to watch because it's just like pure smash mouth football when a fullback's getting used. But nobody wants to use them anymore. And I want to spread awareness.
What's the hashtag?
Bring the fullback back.
Bring the fullback back, everyone.
Yeah.
Hashtag. And if you got this far,
through all the bullshit that may or may not be in it. I don't know. We'll find out.
If you've gotten this far. Andrew, is there a position that you think needs to be brought back? Or
Be
make
brought
great
back.
again?
Oh God.
What other dead positions do you know, Andrew?
Well,
Or maybe
well,
just that's important. That's not
well, just
quarterback, wide receiver.
underrated tight ends probably, because they
Tight ends are
have to
great.
do so much, and like even as like somebody who's played a little football, it's like
Yeah.
it's like hard to remember everything like on the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going up against these huge guys. Sometimes you're going up against the little guys. You have to be able to memorize routes. You have to be quick and strong and tall and agile. And it's just a lot to keep track of. So I respect a lot of the tight ends in the league.
See, I think tight ends are getting. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Okay, I was gonna say I think tight ends are getting like the opposite treatment of fullbacks right now. Like people are starting to actually respect tight ends. You see guys like Travis Kelce and George Kittle being these big
Travis Kelce's a beast.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was someone posted today, might have been CBS, saying that Travis Kelce should get paid like the top wide receivers in the NFL. Or someone said that and CBS posted it. And I don't hate that.
I don't hate that either.
Some of the top receivers in the NFL. But you see guys like that, and they got the whole little tight end university camp going on that everybody loves, and they made merchandise of. I got a tight end U hoodie. Those things are awesome. Yeah, but I feel like tight ends are getting the opposite treatment.
Yeah.
Do you know what this just made me think of is when you talked about Travis Kelce and payment and getting paid. One of my beliefs is that these players should be able to make as much money as possible because we don't know what's going to happen to their brains or their families after they leave the league. And especially when I think the majority of NFL players after they leave the league go bankrupt in like 5 or 6 years. Have you guys seen that news about college football and schools like paying for certain players to come?
Yeah.
What's it called?
What do you guys think about that?
I think that's great. I think that's fantastic.
A very, very good thing.
Me too.
Andrew, why don't you take this since it's more of a basketball thing almost with college basketball players?
Well, there was a whole thing about James Wiseman in Memphis, and he went there, and he not the only reason he went there, but he went there because he got offered money, and like I think being a student athlete is harder than just being a professional athlete because not only do you have to worry about upkeep of your body, like forwarding your skill in a certain sport, we also have the classes to worry about. You have the constant thing looming over your head that if you get injured, you are gone. Like if you get badly injured, you're not playing for that college anymore. All this money that you possibly could have spent, gone. All the hard work that you put in is gone. So I think that it's a good thing for them to be rewarded for that risk that they're taking every day.
Oh, I mean, I completely agree with you. I really do. I mean, we should pay college athletes, and it always blew my mind when you could buy their jerseys or their names, but they never got any profit from that.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I hate the comparison that sports are like slavery. I think that statement is a bit overblown. But college sports, I think there's an argument to be made, especially when you consider the amount of money that these schools make off of these kids and the fact that before now they never saw a dime of it. Like you look at a guy like Zion Williamson from Duke is a great example. The dude was everywhere. He was the biggest athlete in the world, and he didn't get paid a dime for it. And then he got to the NFL, and he's, kind of been hurt on and off. And I don't know, Andrew. Do you think he's going to get a big contract? I don't know.
He might one more time, like a 2-year or something like that.
But yeah, he should have been making big time money in college at Duke. And honestly, it would probably, encourage these kids to stay in college longer because that's one of the big things too. They go to the professional leagues because of the worry about making money and potentially getting hurt in college and not getting to make that money, down the road. I think paying college athletes is fantastic. I do agree that professional athletes should get paid as much as possible because of the injuries. And I know a lot of other people disagree with that and get pissy because they get paid more than whatnot. But I think they deserve it. I do.
Paid nearly enough as baseball players.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
I mean, the amount of money you could make
ridiculous
as a baseball player. But I mean, again, you only have such a short window. You definitely have a shorter window than you do in baseball. to make this kind of money. And if you're going to do it, you need to make as much as you possibly can, because you could be so healthy one Sunday, and then you never know, any given Sunday, it just would be your last game. I mean, Ryan Shazier is somebody I think about. I mean, one day you're good, you could walk, and the next day your whole life turns upside down. So yeah, pay these athletes what they're worth. If not more than that, care of their family, that they can continue to play safe and healthy. But as we know, it's not always the case, and your body takes a beating over the years, and you're not as great as you were when you came into the league at 22, 23 years old. And now you're maybe 30 to 34 years old. You've been in the league for 10 years. You're not who you once were.
Yeah. Another player that comes to mind, with the Ryan Shazier thing, Tariq Cohen. I don't know if you've seen him in the news lately. Running back for the Bears. He tore his ACL like the day after he signed his first big contract after his rookie deal, and hasn't played football since. This was almost 3 years ago now. And he got cut by the Bears earlier this offseason. And like last week, he was working out on Instagram Live and completely tore his Achilles just in a workout.
Yeah.
Like he was on pace to coming back, and just made it worse. And then he released a memoir recently talking about the kind of stuff he's dealt with. He lost both of his brothers span of him being hurt. Yeah, one of his brothers, he died in a car accident. The other one died he was trying to climb an electrical tower and got electrocuted to death. And the one was his twin brother.
Oh my God.
That's so awful.
And now he's hurt again. He's probably never going to play in the NFL again. I hate to say it, but if we're being realistic, a torn ACL immediately followed by torn Achilles as a, for lack of better words, kind of gadgety player, it's not looking too hot for him long term, unfortunately. I hope to God Chicago brings him on as some sort of coach or something.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Even as just a trainer, really, anything, any sort of job they can give the poor guy, because he is,
that's
yeah. And on top of that, a lot of these guys, they're not professionally trained in anything else. They go to school and they get a degree, but I don't want to sound rude, but a lot of them don't get degrees that'll get them big time jobs in the real world. And once they lose out on those contracts, they're fucked.
Yeah, you're so right. And one of the things too is not every NFL player, this sounds crazy, but not every NFL player is going to be successful. I mean, not everybody is going to be Tom Brady. They're not going to be these big name people. There are just some people who were talented enough to make it to the league, but they're not going to make that big kind of money. They're not going to be Fox Sports commentators at the end of this. And those people, I mean, they won't be able to reach those even bigger heights. And so it's managing money. It's just, even though you've made it to the league, that even that in itself doesn't always guarantee success for the rest of your life.
Yeah, because you don't get paid big money until year 5 at the earliest. You got to sit through that rookie contract for 4 years, and you're getting paid relative to what everyone else makes, table scraps. And then once you get that first big contract out of your rookie contract, that's when you really get paid. And a lot of players don't make it to that. You look at guys like Mitchell Trubisky, and then let hit free agency, made backup money, and now he's making backup money again. And he was a second overall pick. So for every Tom Brady, there's like 20 Mitchell Trubiskys. And it sucks, but it's the truth. The NFL is a vicious and fickle place to try to work. And it's just not fair to not fair, but it sucks for these guys.
Yeah.
And
all these people every year, their dreams are to get into the league, and they do, and it's like they just grind them up and spit them out. It's, why do we like this again? We're
because it's fun to watch big men run at each other at full speed and hit each other.
I like the technical aspect of it. I think the psychology behind it is interesting too. And what do you do next? And the fans, and just the feeling when you're in Heinz Field, you have Renegade, the biggest hits, and you have like TJ Watt, this big, and you're just like, everybody put your hands. It's such an experience, and I love it so much. But they really need to take care of these players more and give them, better health care, take care of their heads, hopefully get rid of the CTE issues.
Well, the unfortunate thing is with the NFL, I don't think they prevent CTE.
No.
Like they already got the padding in their helmets, and I really don't know how much further they can go with that. At least with the technology we have today, I don't think you can really prevent it, because CTE, it's not something where it's one bad hit and you're done. It's a buildup. Like I think about the last time we tried to record this, the movie Concussion with Will Smith.
Yeah.
They talk about Mike Webster, who was a former Steelers center, and he said by the time he had retired from the NFL, he had gotten hit in the head 50,000 times. And you got to think, playing on the offensive line as a center, you're getting hit by full-grown almost 400-pound men, full speed, full force, 50,000 times in the span of 40 years. Like that's gonna fuck your head up regardless. It's a dangerous profession, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like they see players, get these non-contact injuries that, like, ACL tears and whatnot, and they look at that and think, well, they'll still be fine outside of football. They'll be able to walk eventually. They'll be able to function as a human. And then you have guys like Mike Webster who go crazy from CTE, live in a truck underneath of a bridge, rip their teeth out, glue them back in, do all this crazy shit, and then kill themselves. Like it's serious. And not only does the NFL seriously, but I feel like people who aren't in the know and don't understand football don't take it seriously either.
No. I mean, because again, if we're going back to what we were talking about before, it's about profiting off the individual. It's not caring about the individual.
Yeah, it's awful. And then I don't know. I think you brought the last time we tried to do this. This is the fucking fifth time I've said that. The last time we tried to do this, I think you mentioned that you think that NFL teams should offer like financial management classes and stuff to their players.
Yeah, I 100% do. I know that the Steelers, I think, make their rookies take one, but I think there should be more. Definitely help them create, and they might do this already and I just don't know about it, but definitely help them create savings accounts, figure out how to budget. Even an accounting class might help. I know that's, but I have taken an accounting class, so I know what that takes. It was hard, but I know these players can do it. But the only reason it's saying that is because if you're going to make all this money, it has to be terrifying, You get right into the league. You've never had this kind of money before. You're young. You're what, like 22, maybe 21, depending on the whole college thing and when you declare. And you're getting millions of dollars, and you've never had this kind of money before. How do you manage that? What goes first? Where are you going to live? How much does it cost? You're going to buy a house. You're going to do this, and what all goes into it. And even though I know that NFL teams do, I think they offer like rehoming and they help in that. There's not enough because these players are going bankrupt at the end of it, and that's so scary because you made your dreams, right? You made this reality. You got to league. You're making this money, but then you see all these kids come out and they're buying these new cars and these designer bags, and that's great. You made it. You deserve that, but I also think it should be taken, with a grain of salt, and just so that you are financially stable as a player for years and years and years to come when you can't do this anymore. And it's not to say that all NFL players are not financially stable. It's just it might help, to just give them those tools that they need, because as we had talked about, when you're in college, it's hard to be a college athlete, to do school plus all of your sports commitments to be able to get to that place. And so maybe you're not taking your classes as hard as you could, or maybe your major is in business, it's not financial management. And if that's the case, how can we set them up to be successful after the NFL? Because there is a time where you will be out of the NFL, and what are you going to do then? Like, what's your next step? And as hard as it is to come to that conclusion, you need to still prepare yourself for the future, because you're not going to have this kind of money forever.
Mm-hmm. And I think another thing we should point out, just to kind of clarify something I just thought of, there are a lot of, the big name players that after they get out of football have opportunities that are just kind of handed to them. Like you see guys all the time get advertisements and get to slap their names on restaurants and profit off of those and whatnot. But the little guy, the guys I was talking about, like the Mitchell Trubisky's of the world, they have no chance. They have no chance because Mitchell Trubisky might be an exception because of who he is. but some random quarterback, like no one's ever going to want to go to Mason Rudolph's diner or something like that, or no one's going to want to buy underwear if Mason Rudolph is modeling them. So
absolutely not. Yeah, no. So I'm down.
But yeah, like the little guys, so to speak, the depth guys,
Yeah.
the ones who aren't the big names, they're fucked. They really are fucked. If they don't do it themselves, they're pretty much fucked. And it really sucks.
Or I will also say too, like if you're not attractive, and the reason I bring this up is because Brady Quinn was the star quarterback at Notre Dame, and then he goes into the league and he tanks. He was so bad, one of the worst quarterbacks, and then now he actually commentates. Now he has a seat at the table, so he blew his NFL shot, absolutely tanked it. He's sitting at that table. So if you're attractive, maybe you'll get by, but that's not for everybody.
Well, Brady Quinn's blowing his fucking shot at the table too. He's an idiot.
I can't.
Everything I have seen from Brady Quinn has been absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I could do a better job. Hire me. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
A solid pump for my brand over here. But yeah, I think a lot about those little guys, and I shouldn't even call them that because they're talented in their own right and be able to get there. But they're never the ones that you hear on TV. You know, it's like, I don't know. Let's say like Kenny Pickett throws to Chase Claypool, and you always hear their names, but you never hear the other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll hear about centers. You're talking about offensive line, but it's just outside line. I'm trying to think of it. You just never always hear about those guys, and they do so much for the team to make other people shine. That it has to be hard, at least in my thought, in the locker room. You know, you're doing so much to make this team be successful, but you never get those after game interviews. You never get the, I don't know, the sports magazines or the brand deals. It's because you're not one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And
I have to imagine there's animosity there. Go ahead.
There definitely is a little bit.
I don't know.
Like there's definitely jealousy within locker rooms and stuff. Maybe not necessarily over that. Like I don't know if you've heard the story about Carson Wentz openly talking shit on Nick Foles during the Super Bowl run because he was hurt and Foles took his spot and was doing better than he did. But
oh my God.
I think a prime example of guys like that go underappreciated doing this to make a joke of it is guys like fullbacks. Like I don't think I've ever seen a fullback get talked to in a press conference. But like Kyle Juszczyk are massive parts of offenses. I said that earlier. Like last year, the Ravens and the Vikings played, and the Ravens tied the game because their fullback picked up 2 first downs and then scored a touchdown on a passing play. I can't imagine they interviewed Pat Ricard after. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine they did. Or, you know, guys like Kari Blasingame, who was Derrick Henry's fullback. Derrick Henry's the best running back in football. There's a guy blocking for him. Every single play, every time you see Derrick Henry take a handoff to the right, there's another big dude in front of him. Nobody talks about Kari Blasingame. It's, again, fullbacks are underappreciated. They need more respect, but there's a lot of players like that. And offensive linemen are another great example. Nose tackles don't get love. Like Sebastian Joseph Day is one of the best football players in the league, in my opinion. And I don't hear anyone ever talk about him other than like myself. Like there's a lot of guys like that.
You're not a weird football nerd, but I mean,
no, I am.
A lot of.
I am. I wear it proudly.
Weird football nerd with your cute little team. No, but I mean, you bring up such a great point, and these big names are only as successful as the people that block for them, the fullbacks that are there, the offensive line that protects them, and these people who are so successful, they wouldn't be there without the other guys. And something else I had thought of too was, you know how there was this whole drama about Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster on TikTok, and how they were leveraging social media. Part of me, from a business perspective and a brand perspective, was like, that's really smart. Because it makes them put in the news. They get more brand deals from it, more notoriety. They become almost like more famous, I should say.
Yeah.
And that brings longevity to their brand and more financial money to come in for that to protect them later. It's honestly really smart is what they were doing. I had no hate with the TikTok thing because it makes so much. Build a brand. You're going to be in the league. You have a short amount of time. Build your brand.
Yeah, no, it was definitely smart to do, but I won't lie, I hated them for it. Like the
Oh,
disrespectful
there was
shit
some.
they'd do.
Yeah.
Like when they
Okay,
dance on
that
logos
wasn't
and
really
stuff,
my
that's when I had a
point.
problem. No, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. And you're not wrong. You're 100% right. And there's other players that do that too. Like I know Marlon Humphrey of the Ravens, their corner is really big right now because he's like a menace on Twitter and tweets out the weirdest, dumbest shit possible. So people are always talking about his Twitter and it always brings him attention. A guy like
Yeah.
a great example is Kurt Benkert, who's the Packers' third string quarterback. He's a Twitch streamer. He plays
Oh yeah.
line, benches Aaron Rodgers, and plays with himself and beats people. And people love him. And there's another guy like that too. Running back for the Bears, Darrington
Oh, that's
Evans. He does the
amazing.
exact
Yeah.
same thing. There's
Wait,
a
that's
couple guys
so
like that.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah, with like a I don't know if you know anything about Madden, but with like a 62 overall quarterback, which is terrible. He goes online and beats the shit out of people. It's him winning, which
I
I don't know.
have my
It's
Madden
charming. It's
somewhere.
funny.
I have it
Respect.
somewhere. I can't. Ah, here it is. Don't make fun of me though. I have Madden 16 right here. Madden
Respectable.
16.
Madden 16 was a good one. It was a little broken,
Yeah.
but it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing it because I got Madden, obviously because I loved the NFL, but it helped me learn the plays a little bit. Like it could show.
Did the same thing for me. Did the
Yeah,
same thing for me.
exactly. Okay, so I'm not alone in this, and
Yeah,
it
that's
really helped me. They
yeah.
didn't give me enough time to make a decision, though. I needed more time. I needed to read. I needed to figure out what I'm doing. And then they were like, Madden's picks. I don't care. I mean, I know he's great, but I want to read all that I have.
Right.
I'm trying to learn, and
Yeah.
they don't give me enough time.
Yeah, Madden's how I learned how to read defenses and read coverages.
Yes,
That's exactly how I learned all that.
That's so funny because that's how I did it too, and it was just
Yeah.
so easy. That really helped me out doing this. But I will say, I only would play with the Steelers. I would refuse to play with another team.
I do the same thing.
I
do the same thing. Yep. Yeah. Madden, genuinely speaking, I mean, it gets a lot of shit in the media because it does
Yeah.
have a lot of downfalls and it doesn't pay attention to the parts of the game that it should. But it is a good learning tool for people getting into football that want to understand things because you can just sit in like the practice mode for hours and learn different things. And that's, like I said, that's how I learned how to read defensive coverages. Was I would sit in the practice mode for hours and then I would go online and try to apply what I learned, and it works.
That's
It really
so funny.
does
We're
work.
the same. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. Do you believe in the Madden curse?
I mean, it's got support. It's got a lot of support to it. I'm not a very superstitious person, but there's a lot of evidence that supports it. And I saw a leak that TJ Watt might be on the cover of Madden 23, so I would brace yourself.
Protect him.
See, that's sucking right now. They're not going to put a Bears player on Madden for a couple years, so I don't have to worry about it. Unless
When it
Justin Fields
happens.
plays like fucking crazy next year and gets put
I
on it,
like
which would
Justin Fields.
I
think
do
he's
too.
great.
I
What do you
love
think
Justin.
what do you think that the Bears is missing that's not making them a playoff or Super Bowl contender? What is the key? What is the answer?
There's a lot. Like, if I'm being honest, they don't have the big thing, I guess, is the star power and the experience. Like, they have a lot of guys that I like that have upside. Guys like Justin Fields, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, their offensive linemen, a couple of their secondary players like Jalen Johnson, who I made a viral TikTok about. I said he was better than Trayvon Diggs. Like, there's a couple guys like that just haven't quite hit where they need to be. And they don't have like the big star power outside. I think Roquan Smith would be the only player I'd consider a star on the Bears right now. But I think give them a year. This year is a good year for them to just kind of develop. That's all I'm expecting out of them. It's not going to be a competitive year, but guys are going to take steps forward. It's a new team, new offense, new coach, all that kind of stuff. That's really important. So guys like Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney especially really have the ability to leap into that star power, star potential. So if they do that, they've got a bunch of money to spend in 2023. They can get whatever free agents they want. They can draft whoever they want because they're probably going to have a top 5 pick. They're in a good position to compete not this year, but next year.
That's a good answer.
Need a little bit of work. Yeah. They do need to fix their offensive line big time, though. It's bad.
Andrew, your team, we're New York Giants, right?
Yeah.
What's going on over there? What's going on in that franchise? I haven't seen him around recently.
There's a reason. We need everything, I think. And we're like stuck in a limbo where it's like we have decent players like that would hypothetically help the team like be contend for a Super Bowl, but they're all like a little bit too old or too much of a liability. So it's like a transformational stage where we're like, I guess we're going younger, but we still have the people that we want to hold on to because they're not quite old. It's super weird. Like I would rather be in any other situation. Like I would rather us be terrible, or I'd rather us be
That's a lot
good.
to ask, though, because it's hard having a really bad team. I mean, I wouldn't know, but for people who are like Lions fans,
Oh, you're
or
gonna know
Dolphins
real
fans,
soon.
that's no, we won't.
I'm just saying. I'm wearing his jersey. He's not good, and I'm not too confident in Pickett either. Do you want me to lie?
These are nice, respectable, commendable men with no sexual assault allegations.
They
I will
are.
take them.
I applaud
I
them
will
for that.
take
I
them.
do. I
That's
applaud
more
them
than
for that.
I've gotten in decades.
Mitchell Trubisky
Let
is a
me live in
legitimate
this.
sweetheart. Mitch Trubisky is a sweetheart.
Yes.
Also, Andrew, I'm very proud of you for saying all of that and not uttering the name Daniel Jones once.
I was really thinking about it. I was really thinking about it. I was kind of insinuating that he was what I was meaning, but
Yeah. I got you.
Maybe it's just a rebuilding year, right? And maybe the tides will turn. It's never been impossible.
It's been like that. It's been like that for a little.
Your Giants, though, the front office has to really care about the team. They have to really be like, we want to invest, spend the money, put the work in. And if your team is just not like that, it's hard. This is not me gassing up the Steelers. This is me thinking about like the Lions or like other mid-level teams that what? I saw that face. But what I'm saying
that was a 10 out of 10 eye roll.
For example, I'll give you this. So the Pittsburgh Pirates are garbage. They're awful,
god awful
MLB franchise, and it's because the front office just doesn't care. Does not give a crap about what happens to them at all. And so when you're Pittsburgh, you just go because you want like the hot dogs and the beer. The stadium's pretty, but you don't go to watch the game. But you know they're going to suck and they're always going to be bad. That's my point. There is like with the Lions, like they never cared enough. They don't care enough to have a great team and invest in.
No, you're right. I am agreeing with you. I'm laughing at the Lions being the Lions. You are right. I agree with you.
But my point is, I'm not like that. It's just you need to have a team that really wants to put the work in, put the money in, and money that's a big thing.
Yeah. Well, Chicago and New York just completely fired their front offices and found new guys that hopefully will fall into that category. I know. We're manifesting. Yeah, I really like the Giants' new GM. Joe Shane is great. I wanted him as the Bears GM at first, and his daughter commented on one of my TikToks once to correct my pronunciation of their names.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, because it's spelled Shone. It's Chone. So I pronounced it Joe Shone. And his daughter corrected me and was like, it's actually Shane. But you did good. You tried. Yeah.
Hey, and now you know forever. You'll never mess up.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that is ingrained in my brain. The man himself corrected me. And that's happened twice. I have twice had NFL personnel, the children of NFL personnel comment on my TikToks of me talking about their parent. Yeah, they were both positive, though, thankfully. When I said,
who was the other one?
It was Dan Campbell's daughter. I said, I love Dan Campbell, and I wish he was the Bears coach. And she said, well, he's in Detroit now, so sorry about that. So at least they were both positive. At least it wasn't me ragging on Maggie's son threatening to jump me or something. Which is that's gonna happen eventually. I talk a lot of shit. Me and Andrew.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. We a lot of shit on here, and I talk even more shit on my TikTok. And I'm always reaching out to NFL players. Like I want to have Mitch Trubisky on the podcast so bad, but I'm so scared. Because I have said so many negative things about the man, even though I love him to death.
I mean,
he's just
I
not
don't know. I
good.
feel like if you're going to be in such a public facility, like if you're going to be this public facing figure, like I have opinions on you.
Well,
And I feel
yeah,
like you can
yeah,
critique individuals, but it has to come from like, I don't know, not like I guess a good place, but a constructive.
yeah.
You say, Mr. Busy, you sucked last year, but this year you were so great, and I really liked how you ran this player, you were with this
Yeah.
player, and so it could be. And I also feel like he's a strong man. He can
Yeah,
get
no,
analyzed by Miller
it's not
Football
that
and
though.
Andrew.
It's not that I'm worried that they're gonna like come on and lose their mind on me. It's that I'm gonna be sitting there and in the back of my mind thinking, has he ever seen me say he's bad? Has he ever seen me bad?
Oh,
He's gone. Like, it's not a them thing, it's a me thing, because in the back of my head, it's always going to be going while I'm just sitting smiling trying to talk to him. So,
well,
I
as
mean,
long as you
it's
would
part of
also
it. It's
say it,
part of
as
it.
long as you would also say it to his face, then it's fine.
Well, I mean, it would have to come up in
I've
conversation.
done it. I've told talked to a certain NFL player like 2 years ago, and I had asked him some questions, and I don't think he stopped talking to me after that. So I was kind of like, "Why'd you suck so bad?"
Fair enough.
I felt because I was just angry. But anyway, point of the story is just hold your guns. Sometimes
Well, yeah,
we
no,
get
I'm not.
angry, but
Mhm.
my impression of Mr. Biscuit is that he's a very sweet man.
He is. He's
He
a
would love
sweetheart.
to come on this podcast.
Mitch is an absolute sweetheart. He is. I love Mitch, but
Have you
he's
ever
not that good.
met him?
I have not. The only NFL player I've ever met is Jack Lambert, and I think we talked about that before.
Oh yeah, Steelers baby.
Yeah. It's the only NFL player I've ever met until Clint Ratkovich gets signed to a team, but so far just Jack Lambert. It's hard to meet NFL players. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think. I don't even. My aunt and my cousin would always go to Steel Camp, and they've met a ton of them.
My uncle used to do that all the time. He used to invite me to go with him all the time too, and I always declined because I never wanted anything to do with the Steelers when I was little. But like in hindsight, I should have went. That would be so cool.
I just think it's really interesting talking.
Yeah.
And like their life experiences.
Yeah.
Like one of my good friends is family friends with Marquise Pouncey, who was the center of miserable against the playoffs against the Browns.
Yeah.
Haven't talked to him. Don't plan on meeting him in person. Let's just say that, because I have some feelings. But I think it would be interesting to just talk to these professional football players and how their life was shaped by the league, and maybe shed some insight on what we don't see all the time, or what's always manufactured for us in front of the cameras.
Yeah. That's something I really want to do with Kyle Long, who was a guard for the Bears. He's my favorite football player of all time. A big personality off the field. He's a big Twitch streamer. He does a lot of like off to the side things. There was one video I watched. It was like a Gillette ad thing where it was men talking about things that are traditionally masculine versus feminine. And he did a lot of the like traditionally feminine things. Like he had a whole skincare routine and, all that kind of stuff but I want to talk to him about that kind of stuff. Like that would be really cool. I agree with what you're saying 100%. And Andrew,
I love that.
I know your family's friends with Ty Johnson. Have you ever met him before? I don't think I've asked you that.
I guess so. Like I've never conversated with him, but I've been like, "What's up, Ty?" And then
Okay,
shook hands,
You're on a
taking
first
pictures.
name basis.
Well, definitely not with me, but I call him Ty. He's probably like, "Who's this? Who's this ape man walking towards me?"
This is ape man.
Yeah, we had for anyone who knows Ty Johnson of the New York Jets, he went to mine and Andrew's rival high school, so he's from our hometown.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My cousin knows him very well. My cousin works at a car dealership, and Ty Johnson buys cars and motorcycles and stuff off of him all the time.
Huh.
Yeah.
More you know.
Yeah, so me and Andrew have connections to Ty Johnson, and we'll eventually get him on. So there's another NFL player. One that, ironically, I talked a lot of shit on in middle school and high school because I was not confident in him. And he exceeded my expectations by a lot. Like, a lot. I thought he was going to be really bad and out of the league in a year, and he's like a solid depth piece on the Jets now. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Football's
certainly
weird
quick.
like that. He is quite quick, indeed.
He's so fast. I love watching the 3, 4, 5 highlights that he has. They're just so good.
All 5 highlights of Ty Johnson. He doesn't get a lot of playing time, but when he does, he's good.
Exactly. Like he breaks off for like 35-yard runs like at least once a game if you give him like 5 carries, honestly.
Yeah.
That's still pretty impressive.
Yeah.
My
Especially coming
fiance is very close with Max Crosby, the Raiders.
Really?
Yeah, follow each other on Instagram. This is a real thing.
Wow.
Oh.
I know.
That's pretty cool.
I know.
That's sick.
The closest. That's like the closest I got. I don't know. It's not even about me.
Ow.
But yeah, he went to school in Dallas, and he was just saying that their football facilities there are just crazy. Like high school stadiums.
Oh, they're insane.
Can
They
just
are
fit
insane.
hundreds of thousands of people there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Like
There's high school stadiums in Texas better than most college stadiums. Like it's insane. Texas football is beautiful. If I could stand the humidity, if I could stand the humidity and live in Texas, I would football in Texas. That would be fantastic. Studying to be a teacher for my first semester of college. So part of my dream was to be a history teacher and also coach football. But then I decided, fuck it, I don't want to deal with kids. So now I'm trying sports media. Took me a whole semester to realize that.
It'd be great. Media.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with kids, and I couldn't fucking stand my professor, and she was going to have to deal with her for the next 4 years because she was like the teacher or like the education major advisor, and I couldn't deal with her.
Yeah, that's way too much.
Yeah.
Andrew, what are you doing?
Just like in general?
Life.
Like so much, too much. I do plays. I'm in sports. I'm on the soccer team. I'm on a travel basketball team. I have
Do you
the
have
TikTok.
any opinions on soccer? Maybe even the Premier League?
Oh yeah, this is like from so much earlier in the episode, but like I'm a Chelsea fan first of all, just like getting the intro out of the way, but like. I feel like the Premier League is really good at handling like bad situations because like there's been a lot of stuff like that. Like with Mason Greenwood recently, he's like a young player that got into a lot of trouble and he's gone. They sent him off immediately, like without a second thought. So they're really far ahead of the curve in terms of that. Anyways, lighter. It's been an intense title race for the Premier League, just in general. I think the last, like yesterday, and I don't even. I think Liverpool won it. They won the title. No. Oh my God, they were 1 point away from winning the title. David's completely confused right now. We're speaking hieroglyphics.
I don't know a thing about
hieroglyphics.
I'm just listening.
Is obsessed with Liverpool, like obsessed. Her office has those things that just say like you never walk alone. And when I live, just such a whole thing. It just had to. It's a whole thing. And if I said football, if I talked about football, they're talking about soccer. They ain't talking about what I'm talking about.
Yeah. They're talking about the wrong football, the inferior football.
The wrong one. We're right. But the NFL now is trying to expand overseas.
Yeah.
They're really trying to make this not just national, but international.
But it's so funny to me how they're trying to do it. Like over in London every year. But it's always the fucking Jaguars. So London gets to watch football, but they're watching the Jaguars. Yeah, like they watched Blake Bortles for like 5 straight years in Jacksonville, or from Jacksonville. Could you imagine this big ass sport being hyped up across the pond in America? You always hear shit about your sport, and then you watch the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars. Can you imagine how shitty that would be? That's your experience with football, is the Jaguars of all teams?
Do you ever notice that when they have those games abroad, they'll have the people in the stands will be in all different kinds of NFL jerseys?
Yeah.
It's not the two teams that are playing. It's
Yeah.
anybody who got their hands on an NFL jersey is wearing it there.
It's because nobody likes the fucking Jaguars outside of Jacksonville. So
Yep.
when they send the Jaguars over there, nobody wears their jerseys. It's hysterical to me that that's the team they chose. They couldn't have picked like a dynasty. They couldn't have picked. Yeah, exactly. They couldn't have sent the Patriots or the Steelers or the Ravens, the Packers.
But it's because like a lot of those teams, I just think maybe have more. I'm guessing is they have more important schedules with like all these games that are going to be televised nationally that will bring in more viewers. So because of that, maybe that's why they put the other teams on there. But that's just a guess. I don't know how they choose it though.
Well, they choose the Jaguars and then pick a random Jaguars game is pretty much what they do.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I just hate that it's the Jaguars. They couldn't pick a real football team. They had to pick a team that's always in limbo for getting relocated and sold and bought and God knows what else.
Speaking of the Jaguars, what are your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence? Do you think he's good? Overhyped?
Oh, yeah.
A trash-ass team?
No, he's the next Andrew Luck. He's going to be a superstar. He's just surrounded by incompetence. Like, it was bad. Urban Meyer was a complete fucking idiot. He's a terrible human, too. Absolute human filth. And on top of that,
David's like, I'm really scared about how much shit I talk on this thing, but I'm going to continue it.
No. Yeah, listen, I do it without shame, and I would happily tell Urban Meyer to go fuck himself. He's a terrible dude. He's not a good person. He's getting sued right now by the Jaguars kicker.
I would say the same thing about Todd Haley, so.
Well, he's getting sued by the Jaguars' former kicker right now because he fucking kicked him during practice. He assaulted the man mid-practice. Have you not heard about that?
Oh my God.
So he was having a bad preseason. Josh Lambo, who is one of the most accurate kickers in NFL history, he was having a bad preseason on a bad football team. So Urban Meyer walked up to him, kicked him, and was shouting obscenities at him. He said something like, "Make your goddamn kicks." And then Josh Lambo went back and said, "Don't ever lay your hands on me again." He said, "I'm the head fucking football coach. I'll do whatever the fuck I want to do." Yeah. Yeah, and then the whole thing with him cheating on his wife with girls at clubs and that getting spread around.
I saw pictures of him in the club.
Yeah, he's just a bad dude. He's disgusting, yeah. So you take that on top of the fact that he couldn't draw up a competent offense. Like, there were literally points last year where the route combinations for their receivers were so bad that they would run into... There was a play last year where two receivers ran into each other mid-route and completely ruined the play. Trevor Lawrence is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL very quickly if their new coach, who's Doug Peterson, and I don't have a doubt in my mind that he'll figure it out, but they need to figure it out quick for him.
But even if you're a good quarterback or a good player, can you even thrive in a bad society? Can you even do well? I mean, for example, like with the Bengals last year, I actually really counted out Joey Burrow because he had a horrible offense, and the the Bengals were just so bad. And after Joey Burrow got hurt, I was like, oh, washed, like absolutely washed. This team is garbage. And then, I mean, flat to what happened this year. I mean, going to the Super Bowl, that's
Joe
a whole
Shiesty,
180
baby.
change, but.
Yeah.
Can Jacksonville even do that? I mean, you might have a superstar in Trevor Lawrence, but what else do you got?
It's a lot harder to get a quarterback to work in a shitty system. Like, a wide receiver is going to be good no matter what. A running back's going to be good as long as he has a half-decent offensive line. Linebackers are going to be good no matter what. Corners are going to be good no matter what. But a quarterback is so key because transitioning from being a college quarterback to an NFL quarterback is so huge that a lot of it comes down to who your coach is, what you have around you, the scheme, the type of offense you're in, all that kind of stuff is so key for a young quarterback. That's why so many guys don't pan out in the NFL. They have to wind up in the perfect situation. And most of these young quarterbacks don't because they go so high to these shitty teams and they don't get a chance to go somewhere. Like, look at Patrick Mahomes. He was considered a big-time project, fell all the way to the Chiefs, who traded up for him, already had an established team, already had a well-built team, well-coached team. He spent an entire year behind Alex Smith, who was an above-average quarterback, came out the next year, year two, first full year as a starter, won MVP, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, all the works. And then you have a guy like Mitchell Trubisky, who, even though I don't think he was that good, he was in a terrible situation in Chicago. Terrible coach, terrible front office, had no idea what they were doing, bad offensive line, bad wide receivers. he wasn't in a good situation at all. And thankfully, Joe Burrow, the Bengals were able to turn it around with him, because I did have my concerns with him too. And I have my concerns with Trevor Lawrence, but I also think he's like a generational talent. Like Andrew Luck is probably the best quarterback prospect we've seen in my lifetime, and I think Trevor Lawrence is right up there with him. So I think he'll be fine.
Incredible at Clemson. Mm-hmm. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I really like Doug Peterson. He was another guy that I liked the Bears, or would have liked the Bears to hire had they not gotten the guy they got, who I love. But I think they're in a better situation now. Although I don't love their approach to team building. I think they fucked up this offseason big time, because they gave Christian Kirk, who is the definition of mediocre, top 5 wide receiver money, and didn't really sign any. There weren't a lot of big name receivers to begin with, but they overpaid a guy, and then they didn't really attack wide receiver in the draft at all. I don't think they drafted him a single target.
This might be a little controversial, but I kind of feel like wide receivers are a dime a dozen. Like, you can get a pretty good one anywhere.
It depends.
Like, they all kind of do the same thing. Like, it's not really a position you would invest in. And I also think, like, this kind of sounds bad, but after you get your good wide receivers and you sign them to your rookie contracts, you should, like, let them go after and just keep getting do wide receivers, because there's younger ones. You need young, fast, new men out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receivers, you can get those every draft, and they're going to be good. They're always going to be a standard player, but I don't think it's one that you really need to.
It depends. Like, if you have a talent, Adams, or unfortunately Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, like the big guys, yeah. But your wide receiver 2, middle of the pack type of guys, yeah, they're pretty interchangeable. You can find them anywhere. Like Darnell Mooney, the number 1 receiver on the Bears, they found him in the 5th round. Like, wide receivers are a position that are easy to find later on, more so than others. Like, obviously, no late round pick is a guarantee, but wide receiver is probably the easiest to hit on later on. So I do agree to a certain extent, and I definitely agree with trading them after the rookie deal, which seems to be the trend in the NFL right now. We just saw it with Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown. Deebo Samuel once traded. Who's the other one? Deontay Johnson's kind of in that boat as well. I don't know if I don't think Pittsburgh's going to look to trade him, but
what a story he was, though, because he was enemy number 1 for me.
Deontay Johnson,
but the one before. Oh my God, so many. I was like, get rid of him, kick him off. I don't care. Get him out of here. I don't even want him in the city of Pittsburgh. I want him far, far away. Give him to the Lions. And then this past season, I changed. He just started to not be total trash. And I don't get how that happens. How is it one whole season you could be absolute garbage, and the next season he's making these incredibly difficult plays and not dropping things? What happened? What changed?
Drops are the easiest thing to fix for a wide receiver, because most of it is just you take your eye off the ball for a split second, and next thing you know, it's on the ground. A really good coach can fix that. Like Devontae Adams, when he came into the league, fantastic route runner, very quick, very smart, couldn't catch anything to save his life. Then you get Luke Getsy, who's their wide receivers coach at the time. He works with him on that. Second year, Devontae Adams, big breakout, best wide receiver in football now. You saw Deontay Johnson, like last year, came out this year, borderline top 10 guy. The drops are one of the easiest things to fix with a wide receiver. If you're drafting a wide receiver and he checks all your boxes, he's fast, he's a good route runner, he's physical, he can make contested catches. If his only thing is he has a bit of a drop issue, that's like a gold mine. That is fantastic, because you just need to work out that one little kink that is such relatively easy to fix. And as much as I hate to admit it, Pittsburgh has a fantastic coaching staff. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they were able to work that out.
I love you, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, that's one of the things I will give Pittsburgh. I used to swear against Mike Tomlin, but most of that was just bias.
I would think so. No, I'm just kidding.
It was bias. I won't lie, it was.
Not that you need to apologize to me, but I do appreciate Pittsburgh and their different ways of approaching a coaching staff. I like that they gave Brian Flores a new option. Mm-hmm. I will say Brian Flores should be I know he can't be head coach because we have Tomlin, but he should have gotten a more senior position, I will say. But I feel like we got some good people that are really trying to help the Steelers out. And that kind of makes up not really for having bad eggs of hard on the team, but I do like Mike Tomlin. The Steelers are lucky to have him. I know that loves to complain about him, just loves to rip him apart, but
That's just any team. If you're doing bad, the
Yeah.
coach is always public enemy number one.
but
And
I
most
mean,
of the time,
he
you're
hasn't really
right.
done
But
bad.
no,
I
it's
mean,
just been
we've had some pretty good
mediocre.
seasons. Yeah, mediocre.
That's the only thing that I don't like about Tomlin is he always manages to win about 8 games, but he struggles to get over that. Like mediocre, that's
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
worse than being bad. I would rather be bad than
Yeah,
mediocre.
and that's what
Exactly.
Andrew was kind of saying before.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
just rather be terrible than just in the middle. Because I think
Mhm.
we all start off with these high hopes. Like, this is the year, and even though there's all these things against us, but then it doesn't pan out, and then you just kind of get disappointed because then you got to like live and see Tom Brady another Super Bowl, and you just want to blow your brains out.
I love watching Tom Brady win Super Bowls.
Oh Jesus!
I
Oh,
love
come
Brady.
on!
I'm a
Oh,
big time Brady fan.
Oh, stop it! I need to leave. Where's the door? I gotta shut my computer off. I mean, no,
He bullied the Steelers for years. I love Brady.
No, but I just think he's overhyped. I really, ah. I don't like him. I don't like that he had all those cheating allegations at the Patriots
Yeah,
facility.
that's
I think if you're good on your
those
own,
cheating
you don't
allegations.
need.
Never mind.
Oh.
There's a
I meant
lot
the
of
other
cheating
allegations.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of cheating allegations. I don't know which ones you're talking about, but there are a
the
couple.
the ones where he left his. I don't know if it's cheating, but he left his pregnant wife for Giselle. Like he left his pregnant wife for a supermodel.
Ugh, who even knows?
Oh.
Honestly,
I don't know if there was cheating
I
involved in that
don't
or
want.
not, but
Listen, I just don't like Tom Brady. I think he's overhyped. I think he's only successful because he had good people around him, which lifted him up, and he took advantage of the little guys. I find him obnoxious. I think he's weird.
that's fair.
The way that
He is a
he
weird dude.
kisses his children
Yep.
and that.
Yeah.
I'm a hater. I'm a Brady hater. I'm so sick of that
Yeah.
guy. I really am. Wanted him to retire. He specifically came out of retirement because he knew that it pissed me off.
Well, he's gonna win a ring this
how
year.
I picture it. Why? I'm so sorry. I was just screaming. I can't. I'm just done with him. I'm so sick of Tom Brady. He's annoying. And he's just as annoying as like Steph Curry is. And you know what else? Speaking of Steph Curry, keep your mouth guard in your mouth. Nobody wants to see it. Keep it in your mouth. That is so gross. Stop it.
I've never seen someone hate Curry. Never once have I seen someone hate Steph Curry. He's such a likable guy.
It's the mouth guard for me. I keep it in your mouth. Nobody has to see it. And every second he takes it out of his mouth. You cannot go 2 seconds without him taking his mouth guard. Here's a game. Every time you watch Steph Curry take a shot, every time he takes the mouth guard out of his mouth, take a shot, you will be dead arrival. Call an ambulance. I'm serious. That bothers me. I don't know. That's the reason I don't like Steph Curry. It's a stupid reason. But
I mean, I guess. I was gonna say, because Steph Curry seems like such a sweetheart. Brady, something about Brady.
Because Steph Curry always wins, right? And Tom Brady always wins. And I guess you can always say, you don't hate the player, hate the game, whatever. And there's talent there, whatever. I want other people. That's why I was elated when the Raptors won a few years back. That was just incredible. It's just you have different teams. It's fun, and I'm so sick of it. Like I hope this year. I know it won't happen because God hates me, and I've never been a good kid. But I really hope it's not a Tampa Bay Super Bowl. I'll live with the Chiefs, but I really don't care. I just really don't want him. Oh, and I also don't want anybody in our division. But that. So
I really, really hope it's Brady. I really want Brady to get one more ring, and then that's when he calls it quits. I feel like that's what that's what he's coming back for. You can never have
selfish.
enough.
Selfish.
Here
it is. He already has a job lined up. He literally already has a job lined up.
It's a smart business tactic. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart man with a big brand.
One time I was at an event with him, and I just got really lucky and ended up getting VIP tickets to this soccer event for Inter Miami, actually. And I got to go, and Tom Brady was sitting in the same seats as me. And I remember texted my mom. I told him Tom Brady's there, and she was like, "Go talk to him." I go, "Mom, I hate him. He is my mortal enemy. He may not know. He may not know that we're beefing, but we are, and I do not like him. So no way am I going to go up there and be like, "Oh, hi, Tom Brady. Like, my name is." I gave him very dirty looks from sitting in the same aisle. He wore an ugly striped shirt.
As he does.
I just, you know what? No, I was just like, I ain't talking to him. However, I did meet David Beckham and Victoria Beckham, and they're very sweet people. So
Oh,
That's a name I know. That's like
yes,
the
I
one soccer
did.
player I know.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I did meet David Beckham. He's just, I'm like blushing. He's very nice. He's very wholesome. He took a ton of pictures with all of us, and when I went, and he's just really nice. He's a nice egg. I like him.
Well, that's nice.
And Victoria Beckham, I kind of geeked out when I had met her. She was really kind too, but I like kind of geeked out. And at the event we were at, it was just it was really crazy and it was really fun, and I didn't know how to kind of approach her in a nice way because it was just, I don't know. So I like went up to her and I was like, "Victoria, I would die for you." But I don't even know why I said that. I don't even like, I mean, I like the Spice Girls, but I'm not like a drop dead fan, you know? And she was like, "Oh, okay." It's really awkward, but like, I'm gonna go like shoot myself in the parking lot. Like, can I have a picture with you? And we took a picture, and she actually commented on my Instagram after that. So
Wow.
yo.
yeah,
It's pretty cool.
I've met some random celebrities. It's kind of weird, but David Beckham is great. So
Yeah. Shit. I was gonna try to rope us back into the what's it called? The main reason we're here talking about the women's stuff, because I feel like we kind of ditched that like early on.
Like,
well,
five
I've already
minutes
got.
it. We talked about it. Okay, well, we'll circle back. We'll circle back. Okay,
Yeah.
so okay, I have obviously been talking about this from a very Celia centric, woman centric focus, but the only way that we can really form true activism in the NFL is to have men like you guys and male coaches and teammates and other NFL players that hold their coworkers accountable, hold the people around them accountable, and to really make sure that these things happen. You will have to investigate. That's normal, but we need to believe women. We need to believe. We need to hear the stories, and we need to have their back and support them. And these are the hardest decisions to make because you have these big franchises that make so much money off of these people. But I think the argument here is one woman's story needs to be enough. And I know you can't put a dollar figure on that, especially when these men are making millions and millions of dollars, but we need to protect the women around them. One of the TikTok comments that I got was, "Well, if we kicked out all the abusive men in the NFL, there won't be any men left." That's not even true. This is only really a handful of players, and there's so many good people in the league that make it go round and respectable, and these great names and role models, and we should lift those people up instead of having to consistently give the abusers a pass, because even if they're not always charged in a court of law or being held accountable outside from a legal perspective of what they're being faced, it still doesn't mean that instance did not happen. And we need to continue to hold these people accountable. And this is again a plea to Roger Goodell. If you're listening to this, which you're probably not because you don't like me and I don't really like you, but it's imperative that you please, when you investigate these things, listen to the women. Don't give the men the benefit of the doubt. It's just, you need to hear the full story, and you need to believe women when it happens, and not before there's video evidence that is all over Twitter and TikTok and Instagram, and you're being pushed and called out and pleaded. It's take these women's stories. And I think something else I always get to is, well, women lie. Not always. No, actually, only 2% of all domestic violence cases are fake, are made up. And also, one of the other things too is, can you guys name any woman that has come against an NFL player? Do you remember a name? Can you give me a name?
No, I made a video about one of them
One name.
too.
No.
Give me one name. But you can't, right? So the
No.
argument there is, well, why would I ask that? Well, it's because women aren't doing this for fame. Not doing this for money or for payouts. I mean, a lot of them are just saying like, I need help. And one of Ben Roethlisberger's accusers, she had went to an institution to take care of herself because of how bad the retribution was, about how bad the outcry was against her. And it's hard when you come forward against big name people. And I know a lot of women who have been uh, sexually assaulted, and I was one of them, and I was scared to go against my accuser too, but or by the person who abused me. But it's hard to find a voice, and it's even harder when these men are powerful, and they are people who hold a lot of weight and maybe are really good friends with Roger Goodell and higher ups in the front office. And so in order to create an inclusive and loving and exciting and invigorating workplace where we can all just love a sport for what it is, just in the baseline of what it is, we need to take care of the people around us, and we cannot let abusers in the NFL. Even if the charges are settled and they have a settlement offer, which happens a lot in the league, the players will end up just kind of not buying off, but having some kind of settlement statement, and if there's money involved, and that's kind of it, and the hands are wiped. But it shouldn't be. And this is hard because I know that one of the questions is, well, their lives are ruined. No, I mean, they're not ruined. They still had all of the millions of dollars of payout, and they still end up being successful. I mean, even a lot of the people in quote unquote cancel culture today are still successful in what they are doing. But the women that have had to come against these men have had their lives ruined, had to move multiple times, shield away from public life. I remember when I went to Florida State University for undergrad during the Jameis Winston era. And I remember during the issues with the rape case, which I'm sure you all have heard about. I mean, the woman had to move multiple times. She couldn't be on Florida State's campuses anymore. People were bullying her, harassing her. I knew that she was suicidal. And of course, I knew that there's a documentary too. I think it was called The Hunting Ground. Maybe not, maybe a different one. But it it's just, I think for me, I just carry so much weight there. And to just think that a lot of the good things that we have, or the things that I like in my life, especially NFL, it's hard to be able to watch something that I love be somewhat destroyed by the bad apples. And this isn't to say that all men are bad, because they are not. They're majority are good men. There's good people in this world. And my point in this statement is we need to put those men forward, the good ones, like the Cam Haywards of the world, the Mitch Trubisky's, the Justin Fields. I mean, the good people, right? The Manning brothers. I haven't read anything bad about them unless I missed my window. I haven't done
Nope.
my research. But my point
No,
is,
the
there's
Mannings are
good,
clean, thankfully.
right? But what I'm saying is, there's good guys, there's good football players, people that care, that give back to the community, and they don't put their hands on women, and or I mean, what, hands on men too. I mean, domestic violence can look all different ways. It doesn't just have to be women. But if you put your hands on somebody else, or you do something that really is just so terrible, I think if it was us, if it was us in a workplace, just a regular workplace, and we beat someone up or we did something terrible, we wouldn't be in that workplace anymore. And that's the least that we can offer. If the NFL really cares about women's voices and wants to support them and market to us from a previous point, then they need to give us the respect that we deserve, and properly use a third party to investigate these issues. Listen to the women that come forward, protect their identities if they don't want to come forward publicly, give them the resources to be able to be protected. And obviously, it's only fair to hear both sides. I'm not saying that every case is cut and clean and dried. I know that these are murky areas, but I would also like to say that there is no perfect victim. There's no perfect individual to make a case seem more plausible than the others. The only thing that we could do is use the resources, and I know the NFL has the money to do so, and I know that there's somewhere in there they care a lot about women, and it's I hope that moving forward, as more young people get involved in the league, as we have younger coaches and more supporters and more women become excited to be involved in football, from coaching to reporters, to just being fans, that they hold their favorite teams accountable. And even if they love them so much, love of an NFL team means you can analyze them and see where they come short. And it's up to us to be able to call those teams out and hope that the people that are in those leadership positions can do the right thing in the end.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think what the NFL needs to do right now, and I'm saying this because they're presented with a golden opportunity, is they need to make it known that they're going to stand up for women. They're going to stand by, and they need to do something with Deshaun Watson. I know a lot of people aren't going to like that because he wasn't criminally charged, but the evidence is right there. If you have any sort of common sense, you will understand that 22 women are not going to go through all the things like you mentioned Jameis Winston's accusers did. They're not going to go through all of that shit just for a paycheck. They're not going to put their reputation, their reputability, their mental health on the line for a potential settlement. They're doing it because something happened to them and they believe the person that did it to them deserves to get what's coming to them. So the NFL needs to take Deshaun Watson and make a legitimate example out of him, throw him out of the league. I know a lot of people are going to be upset too because the Browns, they traded all these assets away for him, but that's their own fault. They knew what's going
Roger
on.
Goodell should have stepped in. He should have stepped
Yeah,
in before this. That's really
yeah,
the answer. And the Browns should not have done what they did. And Deshaun
yeah,
Watson does need to be kicked out of the league. But just to interrupt there, Roger Goodell should have
yeah,
stepped
no,
in and said this is wrong.
yeah. But the fact, even though he didn't, the Browns shouldn't get like a pass. They traded for this man knowing what the
Mm-hmm.
stakes were. I guess at the very least, the money would be off the books for them. They don't have to pay out that $230 million because he'll be thrown out of the league, but they don't deserve their draft picks back. They deserve to be
Mm-hmm.
penalized for trading for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the Texans deserve to, be rewarded for getting him off their team, for getting rid of him. And losing Deshaun Watson's not going to have revenue. He didn't play at all last year, and that didn't really impact them. In fact, last year, unless I'm completely, this was one of the more successful years the NFL has had in recent memory. And granted, they added the 17th game and all that kind of stuff, but still, it's not like Deshaun Watson by himself is going to ruin the
Yeah.
NFL if they, get rid of him. They need to do something about him. They need to change their ways and show players like, hey, if you're going to do this shit, you're not going to get away with it anymore. We're done. We're not dealing with it. And the fact that they're so hesitant to do so really pisses me off.
Yeah, that whole thing was such a slap in the face too. It's that the Browns traded for him, but that they decided to give him this huge payout, this like fat payout. It was basically just, we don't care about any of we don't care about women. That's honestly, there's no other way to say it. We don't care about women. We're going to pay this guy so much money. We don't care the where there's smoke, there's fire. We don't care about all the smoke that's around him. We just don't care. We don't care about women, and we're just going to pay him out. And it's infuriating. It's just so infuriating because it's like time and time again, it's just we're let down by the league. And Deshaun Watson, he needs to get out. We're done. It just, we need to start weeding out these people. And it shouldn't be multiple strikes either, like
Yeah.
specifically that's like towards Antonio Brown. There were so many accusations, but he still continued to play in the league. And it wasn't until he really was on that downfall and, stripping of the side of the game and running back into the locker room. I mean, how many chances do you give these people? And especially when there's just so many accusations. And if you're finding them credible, and I think even Deshaun Watson kind of confirmed that. And I think one of his text messages like, I'm sorry you took it. And it's
Yeah.
just, if there's confirmation too, this is just so entirely unacceptable. And I know I'm not the only woman that thinks this. And I just hope that we can bring awareness to it, and maybe one day have an NFL that is fully inclusive and protects women too, like the ones that work there, and doesn't make them feel uncomfortable. I did read that there was a article about attorney generals from different states that wanted to investigate the NFL. Actually,
Yeah.
attorney generals have grave concern about NFL employees. It's a reports of a workplace culture within the NFL that is overly hostile to women. So this has been reported on. I mean, this is evidence. This is out there. Uh, Maybe an investigation might do some good, but you can investigate. You can do as much as you want, but it's really going to matter. It's not the words, but the actions behind them. And I know that there's women that work in the front office. I just hope that they can maybe have more influence or some more power, and things will change. And I really appreciate you guys for letting me have this kind of platform to do so, because it's hard to find a way to speak your truth when the truth is a tiny subset, and it's hard to find a focus in a male dominated industry. So thank you both.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I know is super important to Andrew and I as well, as people who, oh no, Andrew, are you good, buddy? Okay. His mic's not working. Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, Andrew, just nod along. Nod along if I'm saying something that's correct. There you go. So I know this is something that's super important to Andrew and I as diehard sports fans and people that, are used to being, around a lot of non-males. Like Andrew and I both did theater, and there's not a lot of men in theater, and we're super exposed to being in big groups of women and being around women and, other people as well. The NFL does a terrible job with gay. We don't see any transgender people in the NFL and things like that. They do a terrible job with anyone that pretty much doesn't look like me and Andrew. And to, any way we can give any sort of platform to anyone who enjoys football and wants to be able to talk about it, we're more than happy to do so. And we wish more people would do the same thing. Also, if you're listening to this on like any of the non-video streaming platforms, Andrew has nodded along to everything I just said, just for confirmation.
Yes, he completely agrees on the comments that we all had made. I really can't thank you guys enough. It's hard, but I'm happy we have good allies together, and with our activism in the league and trying to hold these people accountable, I feel like we can really make a difference, and we can all celebrate at a Chicago Bears game in Chicago, and we can make your dreams come true.
That would be incredible. The only bad thing is we'd go and they'd get fucking beat. That would be my luck.
Experience.
It's about the experience, but the experience is marginally worse if your team loses.
Okay, well.
It's marginally worse. Like, yeah, I'd love to go to Soldier Field, but if the Bears get their asses beat, I'm not going to look upon it fondly.
But you still have a memorable experience.
Yeah, of my team getting beat.
Okay, come on, all right?
I'm a realist. I keep it real. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Plus, listen, I have deep, deep wounds from this team. Yeah. I only expect the worst. Right now is one of the first times I've been optimistic a long time with this team.
So I'm going to root for the Bears this season, and I really.
Well, you're going to be wasting your time this season, but 2023.
No, I'm not.
2023, that's the year.
After my wonderful experience with you all, I'm just going to continue to be, as now, I mean, obviously a Steeler fan, but now my next favorite teams are Bears and the Giants. So
there you go. I still hate the Steelers, but you're valid. So
great, thank you. Appreciate that. I was in olive branch, and you were like, "Absolutely not!" Slapped out of the hand.
Well, again, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna bullshit. I'm not gonna sugarcoat.
That's fair. Hey,
but you are one of the good ones. So
I respect it. I respect it. Don't worry.
Well, I think that about wraps it up, especially now that Andrew can't speak.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you guys so much again. I'm so elated. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let's just get ready to say, Andrew, do something. So that that's all for us for now. Thank you once again, Celia, for coming on and talking about something that's very, very important. Make sure you guys check us out. We're now not only on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, we're expanding. We've got a TikTok now specifically for the podcast. We're really doing things out here, so make sure you check out all that. Hopefully see you again next week. Trying to get that upload schedule back on track. Hopefully this one will come out Tuesday, but that's it for us.